Alright guys, so I'm outside of a 2020 Honda Civic, and this is the Touring model. This is going to be your top end. Quick giveaways to that is you'll notice it has an 18-inch alloy wheel on the car. So it's 1 inch larger than what you're going to find on the remaining models. Now when you move around to the front, I'll point out some additional features you're only going to find on this. Your LED fully on your lighting system setup. So LED fog lights, daytime running lights, your standard lights, and then your auto on-off high beams. So if you're getting a Touring, you're getting auto on-off high beams, auto on-off headlights, and then rain-sensing windshield wipers. So those are some of those extra features that you're going to get moving into the Touring model, in case you're considering it. Now, as we wrap around the side, I'll just point out this car does come with the camera off the right side known as Honda Lanewatch. And when we get in the car, I'll show you that, but I just want to show you where this feature is first. It does have keyless entry, so I can walk up and put my hand inside of here, and it'll unlock for me. And if I want to lock it, I can press that button, and it'll lock, and I can step away. So really nice. You don't have to get your keys out or worry about anything related to that. You'll notice there are chrome door handles versus the body colored or black if you're looking at your base models. When we get around to the back of the car, I just want to point out, you got your standard setup back here. You'll notice the car is badged to let you know that it is a Touring. You do have a backup camera, which is sitting right here by my license plate bracket. And then, of course, you'll see that the windows are tinted on this car. That's something they've added here at Howdy Honda, the dealership I'm at. So just be aware of that. The cars don't come typically with the windows tinted. Now, let me pop the trunk and show you a couple things. I'm going to use the keyless entry and pop in there. If I've got the key within 28 inches, it's going to allow me to open that door. So the first thing you'll see is I've got my carpeted floor mats right here. So I just want to point out that it does come with them. They are a standard feature. Now in the back, you've got a 60-40 split here. You can see that crease line right there. And to pop those down, I've got one here and one here to lay those seats down. Now in the back here, I do have my parts and accessories, my jack, everything that I would need, and my spare tire. It is a full diameter spare. And what that means is it's the full height, just not the full width. So something to keep in mind. It's not a donut and it's not a tire repair kit. All right, so I'm gonna keep on moving around this side. Actually, I'm gonna come up to the front of the car real quick. I've got the sticker out. I always like to show this to people, and that way, if I miss something in the front of the car, it's 174 horsepower, excuse me, 1.5 liter turbo engine, 4 disc brakes, paddle shifters in the car. So you're only gonna find that in this model and in the Sport. And then as far as the suspension, if you wanna know, as far as the front McPherson and the rear multi-link suspension, I've got 6 airbags in this car, so 2 front, 2 side, and then 2 full curtain airbags. So safety-wise, you've got that going for you. You do have hill start assist, meaning that if I'm sitting on a hill, it'll hold the brake so I don't roll back into the guy behind me, and then it'll let me take off. So kind of a cool feature, especially if you're putting a new driver into one of these, not necessarily the Touring, but just in general. Other features it has is going to be the Honda sensing stuff, and we're going to go over this here in a minute in the car, but adaptive cruise control, collision mitigation braking, lane keep assist, and road departure mitigation. So a lot of times if you see a commercial for Honda, we're probably talking about these features just because it's one of the things we're known for. As far as the car goes, this is before your destination, so that's to deliver it to the dealership, which is $955. So this is what your general MSRP is on the car when you start. So if you went into a store, that should be what you're seeing, unless there was add-ons, which this car has a couple here at this dealership, but each dealership is going to be a little bit different on that. So 5-star overall crash rating, and you can see right here down the list of what you got, and then your gas mileage. I always like to show that too: 30 in the city, 38 on the highway. Your combined right there is 33. So that way we kind of have a quick rundown of the features, and then we can get in and kind of look at them. So while I'm standing here, I do want to pull out the keys and show you how to use the remote start on this car, because it does come with it. To use it, you always got to make sure the doors are locked, and then you're going to press and hold the remote start button, and it'll fire up the car. So you'll see it flash at me, and then it'll crank up the car. So now my car's on and running. So if I wanted to run it for an additional 10 minutes after this, press that same sequence again, and it'll run it for 10 more. If I want to turn it off, I can press the unlock button and press the remote start button, and I can turn the car back off. So that way, in case things changed. I pointed out that it did have keyless entry, so I can walk up and just put my hand on the door and it'll unlock, or I can lock it. So pretty cool that you can do that. One other thing I'll point out that they've added to this car over the last couple years: if I press this once, twice, and then 3 times, it'll actually start rolling down my windows and it'll hit up my sunroof. So it's kind of a cool feature that I can roll them down, let some heat out when I'm walking up to the car. It does have remote start, so you can crank up this car and cool it off that way. But I just like to point out it's a cool feature and it's nice to have. All right, so let's hop in the car and show you some features. I'm going to start you off right here at the seat. You've got a 10-way powered seat, so your front, your back, your up, your down, and then your back controls. So that is what's going on here, and then you've got a 4-way powered over on that side. So if you're looking for powered seats on both sides, you're going to want to be in a Touring, or I believe an EXL will offer that additionally too. So over here, auto up down windows, your window locks, your door locks, and your mirror controls right here. And then you've got a trunk release right here, or you can walk up and touch it, or you've got a trunk release off the button. You've got some tweeter speakers right here. You'll notice there's some here in the seats. And then if we move to the back, which I hadn't shown you yet, you've got some back here additionally too, which are going to be back along there, which I'm not going to get too far in there. But this is black leather interior. It is perforated in the front because there are heated seats. So I want to point out that. And then you have heated seats in the back too. So you'll notice you've got heat in both front and back. So that's part of owning a Touring. You're getting those options. All right, inside the car, you'll notice this does come with the aluminum sport pedals that you would normally find just in the sport model. So kind of a cool upgrade. Just one extra thing to make the car look nice. So let's get in the car and crank her up. All right, so push button start, put your foot on the brake, press the start button, and it will crank up for you. Woo, and I got the AC running here. Let's turn that down and we'll go over some features. What I really like about this car is it's a digital display. So let me roll up the window and prevent a little bit of the glare here. And we'll show you a couple things. All right. So, I like this because I have lights shining directly on me and it's actually it's visible. So unlike some of the other displays out there, it's actually pretty good when it comes to that. So, I'm just gonna block out some of that though so we can see a little bit better here. All right, so on this display, I wanna go through a couple things. So down there at the bottom, you can see a range. So that's how many miles you have on this tank of gas. And then this bar is actually your instantaneous gas mileage. So that'll bounce around as you're driving. And what it's letting you know is if you keep that exact same driving habits, that exact same speed, you should get about that exact gas mileage, right? So that's what that is in case you've ever seen it come on and you're going, what is this? What am I seeing here? To change that display, there's a button right here you can press, the I button, and it'll toggle through different screens here. So that's what you just saw, the tripometer information. I can jump over here in relation to my turbo and torque. I can jump up again. This will pull up my navigation. So if I had turn-by-turn directions, it would tell me what that turn is. If I don't, it'll just pull up a compass for me. So if you're one of those people looking for a compass, you're gonna wanna be in a model that comes with navigation built in, which is part of what the Touring offers. In the other models, you do have the ability to have navigation through your Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. However, it's not going to be that option we just saw. Moving over, you can see if I want to see my oil life, I can access that info right here. So pretty cool, easy to get to. And then my audio. So right now I have the audio turned off. Let me turn it on here real quick, and then I'll show you a couple things. So it'll immediately pull up and show you what station you're going to. As I jump stations, which I can press this left button to do, it'll toggle between my favorites if I've set that up, or I can jump across. If I press up and down, it'll jump between any audio options I have. So AM, FM, Sirius XM, which this car comes with for 90 days. If I had USB hooked up, Bluetooth, whatever I have running, it'll toggle through any of those options available to me. So that's how that works. All right, so that's kind of a jump through on the menu screen right there. And then the last one, that's Bluetooth, and then if you want to switch to kilometers an hour versus miles per hour. So just we have a general understanding of those. On the steering wheel here, we've got your Bluetooth control. So to answer a call, to hang up a call, and to use, this is your voice command button. This is really cool because this also works with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So if I'm using like Siri, my iPhone user, press and hold this till I hear that beep for Siri, and then I could ask Siri to do anything. Siri, send a text. Siri, pull up directions to this. Siri, whatever it may be that you want to use, you can use it. So it's really cool that it gives you that ability without having to pick up your phone and mess with it, to use it directly through the car. And all you're doing is plugging in your phone into the USB, which I've got the cord that comes through Honda right here to plug into, and it's run back there underneath. So that way you can have your cords kind of tucked away and nice and neat, which I really like because not every car offers that, right? Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, I'll pull these up and show them to you here. Whenever you plug your phone in, it'll light up right here and say Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. If you're not familiar with what those are, what it is it's Android-based users, you got to download the app, but it's free. It gives you access to your music, your messages, your navigation, a lot of different apps that are on your phone. You'll have access to them through the touchscreen. So when I say that, you can pull up your phone's navigation and use it on here. So I could pull up Google Maps or Waze or Apple Maps if I wanted, and be able to use it all from right here. Hear the turn-by-turn directions through the car. So it integrates your phone and some of these apps with the car. So it's just really cool. It's very helpful, and it doesn't cost anything, which in these, this kind of day and age, that's very unheard of to not have a subscription fee or something tied to that. So that's Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. We kind of understand the left side of the steering wheel. The paddle shifters, you can see over here, I mentioned those earlier, they do come in the car. And then on the right side is going to be some of your Honda sensing features. So I want to touch on a lot of these features here kind of all at once. So I'm gonna start you over, actually not on the steering wheel, but over here. So this one right here is part of my road departure mitigation system. So if I start to drive off the shoulder of the road, it'll give me an audible alert and shake the wheel to be like, hey, wake up, pay attention. And you can see that I can turn it on and off. And when I turn it on and off, it gives me an alert here. Above that is collision mitigation braking. So that's if it's looking like you're gonna rear in another car. First it'll alert you, it'll flash on the dash, and then it'll actually start to apply the brakes to prevent the accident. So that is this. This is always on unless you press and hold. And now it's off, right? So it gives me an indicator there, and then you'll see up there in the orange, it's letting me know too. So I'm gonna turn it back on. And you gotta hold it for a couple seconds to turn it on and off. So this isn't gonna be one of those ones you can accidentally bump. And then right here is vehicle stability assist. This works with my traction control. So if I go into a skid, it'll help transfer power to the left or the right to help correct for that skid. This is also always on and running unless I press and hold to turn it off. I can't really think of a good reason to turn this off other than you're stuck in the mud or somewhere in the sand and you're spinning your tires while somebody's trying to help pull or push you out. That would be about the best I could come up with. All right, so these features are related to Honda sensing. Additionally, over here on the steering wheel, you've got a couple more. So the first thing you're gonna wanna see is the main button. If the main button is on, you're gonna see ACC and LKS. So that's what's flashing at me up there. And this will stay on. So if I get out of the car, turn it off, turn it back on, this will actually stay on for me, which I like because I don't wanna have to arm these features every time. So ACC stands for Adaptive Cruise Control. So Adaptive Cruise Control is gonna use these features right here. Now, Adaptive Cruise Control is as simple as this. It's normal cruise control, with the exception is that it uses some sensors in the car to detect the car in front of you. So if I set it to 65 and the guy in front of me slows down, I don't have to cancel or slow down or do anything like that. I can actually just let the car adjust itself. And I set the distance by that using this button right here. So whenever I press this button, you'll see boxes appear. The more boxes, the more space it keeps between me and the car in front of me. So what I would normally do is get up to speed, press my set button. You would then see the speed in between the ACC and LKS button, or right there at the top of where the boxes are. It'd say 65. The guy in front of me slows down, my car just slows itself down. And what it's using to do that is two things. Down in front of the Honda symbol on the grill, there is a radar, and then right up in here, there's a camera. So it's using both to detect the car in front of you to help protect you and keep you safe and keep that distancing that you're choosing right here. Now, if you just want classic cruise control, no big deal, you can do that. All you gotta do is press and hold, and it'll flip over to say cruise mode selected. Now it's just a classic cruise control, so you've got set, cancel, resume like any other car, or if you're coming from a Honda, any previous Honda. So I'm gonna press this to flip back, and now we're back to the adaptive cruise control. Now this button down here is lane keep assist, so that's the LKS you see up there. And what this is, if I turn this on, it's gonna detect, and this is how it's letting you know it's now looking for the lines on the road, but you gotta be going over 45 miles an hour for this feature to work. And it's using this camera up in this box right here, so same camera it was using for the previous feature. And what it's gonna do too is I'm driving down the road, it's gonna pick up those lines using that camera, and then those dotted lines will fill in solid. Now it's actively reading the road, so if I start to drift a little bit to my left or right, you'll feel it just kind of pull a little bit and keep you centered in your lane. You can overpower it. Obviously, if you're using your turn signals, it's gonna let you get over, no problem. But let's say you're thinking to yourself, well, what if I need to get over quickly and I don't have time to put on my turn signal? It's not gonna prevent you from getting out of the way of something. It's not that kind of strength. It just feels like the car has a little bit of a pull. So if you've ever been in a car that pulls to the left or the right, that's what it feels like when it's keeping you centered. You can easily use it without using a blinker. So I just want you to be aware of that, because that's usually a concern I get from a lot of people. Now, an additional Honda sensing feature is right here on the blinker stalk. So if I press the blinker up onto the right, you're gonna see this camera come on, which is my Honda Lanewatch camera. Awesome, isn't it? And that's the camera I showed you over there, and this is showing you all the way down my right side. Now, the purpose of this camera is that I don't have to look over my shoulder and away from what's in front of me and risk getting an accident. So if I'm exiting the highway, this is where this comes into play. Maybe the car in front of me starts slowing down, or he's hitting the brakes and they can't really decide what they're doing. I can look behind me over to the right, see who's there to where I can get over without having to worry about that. Now, the red line is the end of your car. Red to orange is a car length, and then orange, the second orange back there, if you can see it, is the second car length. And I can turn these on and off if I don't want those on. And I can show you where to do that here in a minute. But it's really cool. Now, if you want it to where it doesn't fire that on because it's distracting to you, you can also turn that on to where the only time it'll turn on is if you press this button right here. So if I press that button, same thing, it'll turn on. So if I'm just driving down the highway, I heard a motorcycle and I don't know where he went, I can press that to look back there and go, oh, there he is, just checking, and then turn it back off. So that way I didn't have to turn the blinker on to do it. Now, if you want to mess with those settings, if you go into settings here and then you go into, I believe it's vehicle, and we're going to jump over to cameras. Actually, it might not be under vehicle. Let me back out of this here. Camera right here. All right, so camera, I could go to Lanewatch right here, and this is where I can turn, set it to turn off to where it won't turn on with the turn signal, and then I can also jump back if I want to get rid of those reference lines. I can do that right there too. So this is where you're going to want to go. Just go to your settings, and then you're going to go to camera, and it'll be right there under the Honda Lanewatch camera. So just wanted you to know where that is. While we're talking about cameras, I don't want to forget, let's show you your backup camera. So if I throw it into reverse, it's automatically going to throw my camera on. This is a perfect example. I had those mats sitting right outside. I'm always concerned that you're not going to see the little one who's behind you or their bicycle that's right up against the bumper. Well, let me let you know, those are literally right outside the bumper. This is a 6-inch notice to you as far as where you're at, so that's how close this is to you. So if I was backing up to another car, a bush or something, this is kind of your final warning for you're like, all right, man, you're about to hit something. If I'm parallel parking, this is the line I want to keep that other car on the back side of. That way I'm leaving us both enough space. And then when you get back here, you're giving yourself plenty of clearance. Now, I've got 3 different views I can look at. A wide angle view, so I can get some left and right here. I've got a standard backup camera, and then one aimed straight down. So you can see exactly how close those mats are now to my car. So I just wanted you to be able to visualize that and see it and understand it. So that's my backup camera. And same thing, you can turn these guidelines off, same place. You're just gonna go to settings, and then you're gonna go to camera. So I'll show you quickly again, go to settings, I'm gonna go to camera, and then I can go to my backup camera, and I have the option to, turn on some guidelines, turn them off, that sort of thing. My dynamic guidelines just means when I'm in reverse, if I cut the wheel, it's gonna cut with me, right? So if you want that on or off, maybe it confuses you, you could turn it off if you needed to. All right, so that is your cameras for the car. All right, now the touchscreen, since I'm here, let's just touch on this and kind of go over it together. Navigation is set up through Garmin, so you have the ability to use that, which is pretty easy and intuitive intuitive, so it's easy to understand and learn. It's got a lot of things pre-set up in here and you can save places once you've put them in once. So it's really kind of cool that you can do a lot of those things or go to recent ones. So I just like being able to save in places that I go to regularly, because maybe I know how to get there, but whatever. I occasionally need help, or if I'm worried about traffic, because I do live in Austin here, and there is a good amount of that. So if you find yourself relating to that, maybe you want to use this. If you prefer Google Maps, no big deal. Connect up to the Apple Carplay or Android Auto, access it that way, and you're good to go. Now your phone right here, if you've never connected a phone to this car, it's going to prompt you, do you want to add a phone? You'd hit yes and go from there. But let's say you've already added that phone and you're like, well, Justin, I need to add my second or third phone for my kid, my wife, my spouse, whoever it may be. How do I do that? Well, if you go to settings right here, and then we're going to go to Bluetooth, and when we get to it, Bluetooth right there, and then we're going to want to add to the device list. So I'm going to touch that and then add Bluetooth device. Now while I'm here, I'm going to point out you can add 2, 4, 6 different things to this car. So a lot of devices can be added. You press that and it's going to prompt you, make sure your Bluetooth's on and search for it, and you're good to go. So that's how you add a secondary or third phone. Now, in the settings, I know I showed you some stuff on the cameras, but I want to show you stuff under vehicle. And this is actually really important related to your door locks, because there's a couple cool features I want to show you here. This is stuff that they should go over at the when you're leaving the dealership, but I know with a lot of things going on right now, you don't always get the best ending to your car experience, especially if it's pandemic related. So that is when I'm shooting this, so I have to keep that in mind for people. Now, your door locks. Right now it's set up to where when I hit 10 miles an hour, it'll automatically lock the doors of the car. Now, if I want to change that, I have that ability to, right here, I can change to when I shift to park, which I'm gonna get out of that, or I can turn it off. But most people like it when I hit 10 miles an hour, make sure the doors are locked. Now, unlock is set up to where when I open my driver's side door, it's then I'm gonna lock the remaining doors of the car. So maybe that's a feature you wanna change if you got little ones or something like that. Now, keep in mind, if you have the child locks on, it's not gonna allow them to open the doors, right? It's still child locks where you have to open them from the outside. But something to keep in mind if you want it to where when you shift to park, or whatever it may be, if you ride with somebody who typically takes a long time to get their stuff together and you want the other doors to be unlocked, maybe you change it to when you shift, or the ignition's off, or maybe just turn it completely off if you're a single rider who doesn't typically have people in the car, and you want the doors to remain locked until you exit your door. So that's door lock related. Now, when we're talking about that, I want to scroll down here to walkaway auto lock. So this is at the very bottom. What this feature is if I get out of my car and get 10 feet from it and I have my key in my hand, it'll automatically lock the doors. But that's only if it's turned on, which isn't turned on by default. So I like it because I'm the person who gets halfway to the grocery store and goes, oh my God, did I lock my doors? My laptop's in there. And then I'm concerned about it until I walk out and check. Well, that's what this feature is for. Knowing that I can get out of my car, it'll automatically lock anytime I get 10 feet away if I have my key with me, is a nice feature. If the key's left inside the car, I will point out, because it is keyless entry, it will not lock the car. It will make some noises at you to let you know that the key is still in the car though. So cool feature there too. So that's walkway auto lock. So let's show you where those features were one more time. So door lock settings, I'm gonna go to settings. From there, I'm gonna go to vehicle. And then from here, I've got door and windows where my door locks are at. And then I've got inside of the door lock, Let me click on it. So my door locks and unlocks, and then at the very bottom, walk away auto lock, right? So I just want you to know about those 3 features because they commonly come up and they're just commonly needed to be changed. Now, smartphone connection we went over with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You just gotta make sure the phone is plugged into the USB, so keep that in mind. Audio-wise, let's show you what this car has to offer. All right, so if you press the source button up there, it'll show you. I've got FM, AM, 90 days of satellite radio. I do have USBs, so if I have like a USB drive with a bunch of music on it, I can absolutely plug that in. So whether I wanna go, into the USB that you saw, I have that ability, or I've got a secondary USB down here in the center console. So I like the center console one because I'm gonna have something going there, and then I can have my phone plugged in. 1, because I wanted to charge, and 2, I'm probably going to use Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which you do have to actually use this USB for. So you've got iPod abilities. Anything with an I will connect up via Bluetooth, or you can connect it up via USB. So just know that. It's Pandora compatible. If you're a Spotify user, no big deal. Use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, or just go via Bluetooth, and then you can stream anything you want. So a lot of different options to get you your audio, whatever you prefer to listen to. And if you're using Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, you also will have access to Pandora there too. So a lot of different ways you can listen to any media. I will point out there is no CD player in this car. Hasn't been for a couple years, so if you're looking for one, it's not an option, okay? All right, your climate control. This is probably my one complaint about this car. When you get in, it'll fire up and it'll turn on the AC, but it won't necessarily turn it on, right? You'll have air coming out. You can affect that with the buttons right here, but while the screen is loading up, you gotta wait until you can get to this to turn the AC on. So it's just something to keep in mind. I like to leave it on. I live in Texas, it's hot here, so it makes more sense. And in the colder months, you could leave the heat on, right? And that way, when the car cranks up, if you're remote starting it, it'll start cooling the car off or heating it up. So just something to keep in mind. If you don't do that, you're gonna walk out and you're gonna have to wait, the 1 minute it takes for the screen to load. But hey, if it's 100 out, sometimes that isn't the most enjoyable. Info, so if I just want tripometer information, I can access that here, or I can go clock and wallpaper. You can load up a picture right here if you want to. It's not hard to do. Click on that, and then you'll be able to go to clock and wallpaper type. I will tell you, if you want to add your own, you have to use a USB drive, and you're going to plug it into your USB right here, and then wallpapers, and it'll allow you to add a new one, and then from there, it's going to start searching, right? You cannot do this with your phone, so keep that in mind. It cannot search through different folders. That's why it has to be a USB to where it just opens up one folder, and that's where it's at. So just word to the wise in case you decide you want to do that and add a custom picture. Honda Link is really cool. Now, for your touring models, you're typically going to find out that you have other options available to you, but I'm really glad that it pulled up this because I'm going to enable it. That way it'll locate the car. What this is for is, if I'm using any phone, the first time I connect up, it's going to prompt you, hey, would you like to enable Honda Link? And what it's asking you, and it's going to give you a little description when you do it, but what it's going to be is that if you get into a wreck and the airbags deploy, Honda can actually call down to the car to see if you're okay. If you don't answer, they're going to assume that you're unconscious, and they can send someone out because they can use GPS locating to find you, but they'll be able to tell EMS what the car is, the year, make, the model, the color, the VIN, and a location. So this is super helpful. It's free, 100% free. Take advantage of it. When you connect up a phone, make sure you enable Honda Link. Now, if you're using Honda Link for other features, they do offer some different things. You can go to HondaLink.com to check it out. They're subscription-based past this point, right? So if you want to be able to start the car from your phone or do the door locks from your phone, those are going to be some things that'll be a paid feature, but the initial one I described, the safety feature, is 100% free. So just cool to check out. That's Honda Link. Your app list down here is just going to give you some general stuff here. Calculator, I will say the app installer, they've set it up to where you can't download just anything. So if you're thinking, hey man, maybe I can put some YouTube or Netflix on it and upload it, you can't. They've prevented it. You can crack this unit. I've seen other videos on it, but you're then risking warranties and things like that. So I won't recommend it, but know that it is possible. So heated seats, controls are right here. Your shifter is right there. We kind of went through that in general, park, reverse, neutral, drive, sport mode, and that just affects shifting points, gives you a little bit more get up and go. And then if you're doing that, maybe you're using paddle shifters too. Brake hold is set up to where if I'm in stop and go traffic, it'll apply the brakes for me every time I come to a complete stop. You gotta have your seatbelt on though, so let me throw my seatbelt on and I'll show you how this works. So if I throw the car in drive, and I press the brake hold button, you're gonna see it come over here and say brake hold system standby, right? So, okay. Now I've got the car in drive, it's holding the brake, which is telling me over there, hold right there, and I'm not touching the pedals. Now, when I hit the gas, it's gonna release, I start moving forward, I come to a stop again, and then you're gonna see it click on when it starts holding, and now it's holding again. So I can let my foot off the brake again, relax while the car's in drive. This is a convenience feature. So if I'm in stop and go traffic, that's really what this is for. I will point out though, a lot of people might use it through a drive-through, but the one thing about the drive-through is that you get up to the window or the bank or whatever, you're using this feature, and then you take your seatbelt off. Well, when you take your seatbelt off, it disengages this feature. But the cool part is if I do this and take my seatbelt off, it's immediately gonna do some things for me. So the car's still in drive, it didn't roll forward, it applied the emergency brake. So it's gonna prevent me from rolling into the car in front of me. So it's just really cool that it does that, in case this is a feature you wanna use, but you have concerns about how it works. My parking brake is electronic. You'll notice that it's on right now. So you can see by the LED, and then it says brake over here in the corner. So to release it, press down. So it's just like a handbrake, right? To set it, put my foot on the brake, lift up. So I'd pull my handbrake up or I'd push it down. So that's how your parking brake works. My econ mode is just set up. If I use this, you'll see a green leaf pop up on there. Anytime I'm using it, it's gonna improve gas mileage. How it works though, it's gonna shut down some of the electrical systems in the front end of the car, affecting things like your AC unit and your accelerator. So you're gonna give up some of the abilities of those features to improve gas mileage. So it's really limiting things, so it's a give and take system. For most people, if you're a normal conservative driver, you can leave it on, never know the difference, and get better gas mileage. If you're a little bit more pedal to metal, you find yourself using the sport mode more and the paddle shifters, maybe this is a feature you turn on and off as you go. And you can, you don't have to be in park, you don't have to do anything special, you can just turn it on and off whenever you want. Your center console is sliding, so I like that. And then I do got some cup holders. I've got shorter ones, and if I want to move to a deep cup holder, in case I'm a water bottle carrier, you can do that also. You saw the USB down in there, and then I've got a cup and change holder right here too. So easy to use, leather here, leather steering wheel, leather shifter, leather seats. Let me show you that pattern just so you can see in the front seats how it looks. It's nice, it's sporty. Across your dash, I've got this like metal looking inlay. So the car is great. It's a sporty looking car, it's nice. For the price point, I feel like you get quite a bit. You know, if you want a different luxury brand name, you could go out there and spend the extra 10 grand, but I really don't think you need to. Outside of that, you do have HomeLink in the car. You do have a sunroof that you can use. I'm not gonna explain that just because I think we all generally understand that. New car features. These are just basic features I say that every new car has or should have. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, comment on the video, please like it, please do comment. If there's something you wanna see me do or shoot a video on, please let me know. I'm always here to help out. Next, we're gonna take a test drive here, so hold on just 1 second, and at the end of the video, I'll give you my cell phone and email, and that way if you have questions, you wanna reach me directly, you absolutely can. All right, guys, so let's go for a test drive. I'm in what we've already talked about, the 2020 Honda Civic. This is your touring model, so you're very top end. So let's kind of go for a ride. We'll talk about some different features, kind of go over if they work, how they work, and kind of to help you decide if you think this is worth the money, or maybe you're looking at different trim levels, or maybe you're looking at a completely different car. So let's throw her in drive here, and we'll take a little bit of a ride. So first thing I usually get asked about or concerns is sometimes I get customers to say, hey, you know, it's got a little bit larger wheel, so that's less rubber between me and the road, and I'm wondering, is that gonna affect the ride? So is it gonna be a little bit rougher than, you know, the EXL model? I would tell most people the answer is no. You're probably not gonna know the difference. What I will say is they do put different tires on your different levels. So you will find that like your base model is gonna have probably a little bit more generic tire than you will find on your higher trims. So something to keep in mind, exactly what the tire is gonna be. Sometimes they switch them depending on which plant it's coming from and when. So you're gonna have to kind of check that. But it is something to be aware of. You are getting a little bit nicer tire. So your ride should be pretty smooth. I don't find that there's a big difference between the two, so I wouldn't look for that concern. If I was gonna have any concern, it might be related to pricing, but it's something you can check out. I believe this has a 235, I want to say 40 R18 on it, so if you're wanting to look, you can absolutely check. All right, so I don't know if you can tell, but it's a super quiet ride. You know, I'm gonna give it some gas here and get up to speed before I get to the stop sign. You know, going 30 and 40, I can hear myself, I can hear, you know, any audio I have going. If I have Bluetooth going, I can talk normally. I'm not yelling or struggling to hear someone. Even if I got a phone call and answered it physically, I would be fine. So that's kind of nice to know. If you're coming out of an older car, a lot of times I know that can be a point of contention of, hey, I have Bluetooth in this car, but it doesn't really work that well. It works well in this car. So it's something I'm really happy about and glad to say. Now, so I just got up to, I'm going 50, almost 55 now. Easy acceleration. It is a 1.5 liter turbo, 174 horsepower. So I'd say for the average person, you're gonna get up and go just as quick as you need to. That shouldn't be a concern at all. For people that are coming from maybe a V6, if you're coming out of an older Accord or something like that, you don't have quite as much horsepower because that would have been 250 horsepower, but You're gonna get that better gas mileage, and you gotta remember, I am giving less horsepower, I'm also in a lighter car. So that ratio is gonna play a role if you're thinking, I don't know if a 4-cylinder is gonna be enough get up and go for me. Something to keep in mind in case you're downsizing or whatever it may be. I find that this car is plenty sporty enough and will get me going just as fast as I need to. It shouldn't be any concern related to that. All right, so as we come around this turn, I'm going to engage some of these safety features, and that way we can see how they work. The first one I'm going to do is lane keep assist, and I just want to kind of test and get a feel for once we get up to speed over 45, if it'll actively read the lines on the road and kind of keep me centered. In past generations, I haven't had any issue with that, but I want to make sure that in the newer model, the same thing can be considered. So here I am going. It's got me centered in my lane, so I'm gonna keep my hands and kind of hover, but it's keeping me exactly where I need to be, because you don't hear it thumping over the dotted deals in the line, or I don't even know what you'd call those, but it is keeping me perfectly centered in my car. So it's really nice to know that that feature works. It's now alerting me steering required, meaning that if it loses track of the road, so everything's working as planned. So I'm gonna get one lane over here and get moving down the road here, and I want to use the adaptive cruise control. So when I get up to speed, I press my set button and then I select the distance that I want it to allow. And I'm gonna actually give it a little more speed so I can catch this car in front of me here. Actually, this will be perfect to catch this truck. So I've got it set, at 62 I set it, and it's pulling me down and slowing me down, so I'm down to 55. I don't even have my foot on the gas or brake, so it's gonna keep that distance that I set between me and the car in front of me, keep me safe, and that way I don't have to turn things on and off as I go. Great for a long road trip. It's absolutely a fantastic feature. Just safety-wise, it's great to know that that works. And those same sensors that it's using, the camera up top, and then the radar down in the grill, it's gonna use for your collision mitigation braking. And what that is if it's looking like I'm gonna rear in another car, it'll actually first alert me and then apply the brakes to prevent that accident. So really cool features. I love what they do, and they work well. I'm not going to test the collision mitigation braking because this is a brand new car and it doesn't belong to me, but I will inform you that I have been on test drives where if you're coming by and you just catch the edge of a car, it'll alert you, and sometimes even start to apply the brakes, but most of the time it's just giving you that alert saying, hey, wake up, pay attention, there's somebody in front of you. So I have seen that the feature does work. So as we move down the road, what is a Touring and what am I paying for? What am I getting extra? Exterior wise, you're getting those 18-inch wheels. So if you want a 1-inch larger wheel with a little bit different pattern, that's part of what you're paying for. You're getting auto on-off headlights, you're getting auto on-off high beams, and then you're getting rain sensing windshield wipers. So if those features are important to you, those are part of the Touring package. Interior wise on the car, you are getting heated seats in the front and the back of the car. So something to keep in mind, and then you are getting navigation built into the car. The navigation doesn't play as big a role for me because, well, you've got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but maybe some of these other features do matter to you. So it's just something to keep in mind, or maybe, you just don't want to mess with plugging your phone in when you want to access navigation. You just want to be built into the car. I personally don't care for it just because you have to pay for updates and things like that, and I find that my phone will update automatically and it's free, so it's something that I do like. Additionally, some of the other options you have available to you are going to be some of those Honda Link options, so being able to start the car from your phone and different things like that. If that doesn't set your world on fire and you don't want to pay the subscription, well then maybe those don't matter to you. It really comes down to some aesthetics and then some safety features, was what I would call them, related to your rain sensing windshield wipers and of that nature, things like that. Other than that, I think this is a great car. Personally, I would probably go the one model below it just because I would rather use my Apple CarPlay and Android Auto to access those features. But if I was the kind of person who just wants it all to be built in and not have to worry about it, then maybe the Touring model makes 100% sense. Or if, it's your one time you're gonna splurge and you wanna buy the nicer car, maybe you wanna go ahead and spend the extra money on this. Maybe that's your thing, that you wanna do it right and get everything built in. So this may apply to you too. Other than that though, as far as safety goes, 5-star overall crash rating, 6 airbags in the car, all these different features, corrective driving and braking features this car has. So I absolutely love this car for that. And then on top of that, you've got a great infotainment system. It's easy to use. It is customizable and there's some different things you can do. Actually, while I'm thinking about it, up here in one of the top parts of this thing, I'll throw some tips and tricks on the Civic. So if you want to see some different things you can do related to the touchscreen, I'll show you those. So I think I'm going to put it right up there. Other than that, if you have questions, feel free to give me a call, give me an email, comment on the YouTube video. If you want to call me or text me, absolutely can. I'll answer. 737-443-9555. So if you're afraid to ask a salesperson on the sales floor somewhere, you can always ask me. I'll be more than happy to help you out. Or you can email me, jf_1064 at Yahoo. I probably won't check that one as much, or comment on the YouTube video. So any of those will work. Hopefully I can help you out. Let me know if you need anything. Please subscribe. Please like the video. And please let me know if there's something else you want to see, because I'd love to help you out with that. Other than that, have a good one, guys. Bye.